the Vikings, how real are they, Chris? How real are the Vikings?
You got to give it to them. They're real. I mean, you go on the road and you beat that team. Now, listen, this year the NFL's down, right? There's some teams that are starting to round into form, and actually there's some real good teams at the top, but a lot of bad teams this year. So some of these teams that are reeling off wins, for good reason, we question them. Minnesota goes to Philly on a Monday night, and they get kind of blanked early in the season. I think that just sticks in people's minds. And then here's their big stage, right? You go right down the field, and for me, the whole week I thought Josh Allen wasn't playing. The way the line was moving, the way people were talking about it, and for him to play, period, speaks to kind of his mentality and the way he played. But they come out and they punch him right in the mouth and score, and then next thing you know, they're down 27-10, and I thought one of the biggest plays of the game. Now, Justin Jefferson gets a lot of credit for the balls he caught, but the Dalvin Cook touchdown, when you're down 27-10, you need a quick score. It hasn't been going well for you. It doesn't feel like you can stop Buffalo, and you reel off that 80-yard run or whatever it was. Justin Jefferson had a huge block on that play. So, not just what he did on the 4th and 18, the back shoulder ball in overtime, everything in between, bailing Kirk out at times, who made some big throws, but it was really about Justin Jefferson and the day he had. And the Vikings are absolutely for real. I mean, they are. That's a really tough environment to go into and win. And if you're the Bills, you're good. You're a top 5 team. You might be the best team in the league when everybody's healthy. But Josh has got to make the right decisions. And, he almost threw a pick the first drive of the game. He's been erratic the past couple weeks. I don't think it's all health. I think some of it's just decision-making. I don't care about the 4th and 2. Some people were rolling that, B-roll over talking about his poor decision-making. But the 4th and 2, he's got to throw that ball. It's the second down play on overtime.
Right.
There's just no need to force that ball in. And the Bills go down again, and it's because of bad decision-making.
And now the Week 2 win for the Eagles over the Vikings is what's keeping the Eagles in the top spot in the NFC, because they have the same record now based on what we saw from the Commanders last night. Your 2 cents on how we should view the Eagles now after 9 weeks, Chris Long.
I don't look at them much different. Now, it depends on how you looked at them before. They're a really, really, really good team. They might be the best team in the league. But this was coming. They weren't going to skate all the way to the playoffs, and it's better they don't. And this is not a game that surprised me. I mean, them losing the game probably surprised me a little bit, but you knew this was going to be a battle. That defensive front, you talk about Terry McLaurin, the way Heineke's playing, they really have found a little lightning in the bottle with Heineke and McLaurin. That connection's really great. And they played tough, and they ran the football. And that's something that, with Jordan Davis out, the Eagles are going to have to figure out a way to shore that up, whether it's bringing in a veteran who might be out there on the street somewhere to shore up that defensive line and stop these explosive runs. And the way that, Washington never – it wasn't even all the explosives. It was just possessing that football. I mean, there was a time I looked up and I couldn't believe the time of possession. And so you keep the ball away from Jalen, which keeps him from getting in a rhythm. Obviously, the refs missed the face mask and everything, but the Eagles lost this game fair and square. They made a lot of mistakes. The Quez Watkins fumble, obviously Brandon's penalty at the end of the game. This is uncharacteristic of this team, but they have great leadership. Listen to these guys at the podium after the game. You got Jalen Hurts saying all the right things, and not just things that fans think are the right things, like players know when they watch that press conference. This guy is a leader. And the same thing with Brandon standing tall at his locker and being like, hey, that's my fault. I got to be better there. I don't love the call, but I got to be better there. I think this team's going to be fine. And I'm not surprised that Washington, who deserves a lot of credit, came in there and beat them. I mean, this was just one of those games, and it's the NFC East. And I want to say this, Scott Turner was great last night, and that was a guy that I really doubted when they made that hire. He's been very good at times, and I think when you got Heineke in that lineup, it's hard to go back, right? I don't think you go back at this point to Carson.
No way. No, with all due respect, I should always front load the disrespectful
no
with
way.
that. No shot.
What?
I mean, that's
Yeah.
although you can never tell in the NFL, but in terms of just injury, barring injury, I mean, this is Heineke's gig right now. I mean, they've won 4 or 5, and if they can run the ball like they ran it and play defense, they're getting Chase Young back. They've got a shot at that 7th wild card spot for sure, if not better.
Oh yeah. I mean, hey, listen, this was a team a couple years ago that was right in it with Tampa. I think the year Tampa won the Super Bowl, and they played them really tough in that wild card game. I think it was one of those late games, wild card weekend, where you're like, man, enough. I've seen enough football today, if that's possible. But for those who stuck around and watched that Tampa Washington game, which was a bizarre game, they were in it, and so I think they're better than they were at that point. And the back end has stepped up and made some plays. And I really like the way that St. Juice kid battled last week against Justin Jefferson. He made a big play, stripping the ball at Quez Watkins last night. Like they just, Jonathan Allen, throwing Landon Dickerson out of the club. Like this is a good football team, and the coaches, a lot of thought was done early in the season. Maybe no, not so.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.